Alright, welcome back. Please have a seat there. Perfect. Okay, so as you know, we are now going to test your hearing. These tests are going to be a little more involved than your eye examination. But before we get too far into that, I would like to have a look at the inside of your ears, if you wouldn't mind. It's not a big deal or painful procedure. I'll be using this utensil here, which is called an otoscope, to get a look in there. All it is a light and a magnifying glass. I'll be gently pulling on your ear just so I can get a good look around in there, just as we did with your eyes. This is just to make sure that everything looks okay and normal before we get started. Just sort of laying the groundwork here. I want to make sure that there is no buildup or drainage in the ear that might lead to infection, and that there's nothing that would hinder the tests we have for today. Okay? Great. We will do your left ear first. I need you to sit very still for me. That's it. Have you been feeling any aches or pains in your ears over the past few weeks? Good, that's good. Alright, that ear looks perfectly fine. So now I want to come over on the other side of you. Okay, and I'm just going to have a look in this one. Have you found recently that you've been needing to clean your ears more than normal? For example, have you noticed an irregular buildup of wax in your ears? No? Okay. And have you had any sort of fluid discharge from your ears? Good. Good. Both your ears look fine to me. No signs of infection or the like. Just want to make note of that here in your file. Alright. Now, I just have a couple more questions I would like to go over with you, if you don't mind. None of them are difficult to answer, I promise. It's not a test, just please be honest and open with me so that I can help you to the best of my ability. Alright, the first question I want to ask you is if you experience any ringing or buzzing in your ears, particularly when it's quiet. The quieter it is, the more noticeable it may be, whether it lasts for a few seconds or a few minutes, or if it's persistent. Okay, do you ever hear anything like buzzing, hissing, whistling, clicking, specifically when you're alone? Alright. I know they may seem like silly questions, but they are actually symptoms of an issue known generally as tinnitus, which is actually very common, incredibly common. About 15% of the population, in fact, experiences it in some manner or other, and for many it can be a lingering issue. But is a minor annoyance, and it can often be quite temporary. It is not in itself a disease, but typically a symptom of another underlying health issue. So, with the insomnia and the stress resulting, it's not at all surprising for it to occur. But, like I said, it's often a temporary issue. So, it's my opinion that it would simply be a side effect to your insomnia. Alright, the next question I want to ask you is, do you experience any popping in your ears? You know that feeling you get if you're driving up a mountain or changing altitude and your ears pop. Do you experience any of that on a day-to-day basis? At a time where you don't really feel there should be any reason to experience this? How about crackling sounds, almost like the crackling of a fire? Okay. Okay. Do you listen to music or television pretty loud? Sometimes. Okay, yeah. We're all guilty of it from time to time. Just be careful it doesn't become a habit. Alright. Do you work frequently at any place with loud sounds such as alarms or bells or machinery? No? Okay. But there's been some construction down the road from you. Okay, yeah, that can definitely cause some annoyance. Is it pretty loud? Can you hear it pretty well from your home? Not too loud? Just more of an irritating background noise, okay. And how long has this construction been going on? Only a few days. Okay, so your insomnia had already been on set before the construction work. Alright, so we can rule that out as a cause, though I'm sure it does not help. Do you sometimes have difficulty understanding speech on the telephone or on the television? Okay. Do you often feel like people are mumbling or just not speaking very clearly to you? Alright. Do you feel like you always are having to ask people to speak up or repeat themselves? Do you find it difficult to understand soft speech or whispering? Okay. Is it hard for you to follow a conversation when in a noisy restaurant or crowded room? Okay. Alright, that's all I wanted to ask you now, but if there's anything else you would like to tell me, please don't hold back. No? Okay. But if you think of anything else, please do not hesitate to let me know. Okay, so I would like to briefly go over with you the types of tests that we are going to be doing today. I am going to be placing sensors along your head and your neck which will be sending me the information of how your brain reacts to certain sounds on my computer. We will be doing something referred to as a speech test, where I will say a word and you will repeat what it is you think that I just said, just to gauge how well you can understand speech. We will be doing this in a normal voice and a quiet voice. Another thing we will be doing is I will be reading off a list of numbers 1 through 5, and when you hear it, you'll hold up however many fingers that corresponds. But as the test progresses, there will be different levels and types of background noises. We will also be doing something I like to refer to simply as the beep test, where you will let me know when you hear a beep against other sounds, background sounds. And then finally, I'm just going to have you listen while I play you something referred to as binaural beats or tones at different frequencies. That's definitely the biggest thing we really want to measure your brain's response to today. Okay, so these here are the electrodes that I'll be sticking on your temples and your forehead that will measure your brainwave activity as you perceive the different sounds. This is often referred to as an auditory brainstem response test or an auditory evoked potential test. It sounds intimidating, but I promise you it's not. These tests are often even done on newborns, so it's absolutely not painful in any way. Typically, with an ABR, you only measure certain frequencies, but due to the issues you're having medically, the insomnia and whatnot, I want to get a good reading of how your brain reacts to each test that we do today. Make sense? Alright, good. So now I am just going to open these up and place them on your head one by one. So this first one here, this one is going to go on your left temple. Alright, let me get this one. Okay, this one will be on your right temple. Just stick it on there. Good. Next, on the right side of your forehead. Right here. Okay, and now for the last one. Okay, let's get that on. Perfect, excellent. Alright, I know it feels a bit funny, but I need you to try and not mess with it, with them for me. Just give it a minute and you won't feel a thing. Now I am going to fasten these little wires down onto your electrodes and then plug them into my computer here. So just give me 1 second. Alright, there we go. Now let me just run it through this big machine here. Alright. The next thing I'm going to do is give you these big, bulky looking headphones. Not the most stylish, but they will serve our purposes for today. So we're just going to place them over your ears. Okay, and feel free to adjust it until it fits comfortably. Now, these are special headphones used specifically for these types of tests. It's connected to this microphone that I have here, so you'll be able to hear me clearly when I speak to you. It's also connected to the computer that I have here, so that I can play you different sounds and whatnot. First thing is first, I just want to make sure that they are working properly and calibrated the way they should be. So I am just going to play some sounds in both of your ears. If you hear it on the right side, give me a thumbs up with your right hand. And if you hear it on the left side, then give me a thumbs up with your left hand. And if you hear it through both ears, just give me a double thumbs up, both hands. Okay? Are you ready? Here we go. Alright, perfect. It looks like we are all set and ready to go. Thumbs up if you can hear me just fine. Alright, now, the very first test that we are going to do is very simple. I am going to be saying some words, simple words, and I just want you to repeat them back to me. This is a speech test. It will allow me to gauge how well you perceive speech spoken at both normal level and lower volume. So I will be saying some words, and I will be whispering some words. And all you have to do is repeat them. Questions? Okay, here we go. Burn. Cash. Keen. Kite. Knock. Pool. Puff. Sub. Take. Hip. Fall. Ball. Scene. Clock. Cat. Boat. Learn. Yearn. Yarn. Car. Rule. Rough. Make. Lip. Trip. Sip. Rock. Mock. Talk. Moat. Lash. Leash. Feast. Bird. Mirror. Tuft. Tear. Clear. great job on that. Really spectacular. Alright, the second test we're going to do is I'm going to play you some background sounds, and then I'll speak into the mic and say a number between 1 and 5, and when you hear it, hold up that many fingers. So, for example, if you hear me say 2, you'll hold up 2 fingers. If you hear me say 3, hold up 3 fingers, and so on and so forth. It sounds easy, but as we progress through the test, I'm going to turn up the volume of the background sounds to see at what point you become unable to tune it out and tune into my voice. Typically, people are able to separate different things and sort of hone in on what they want to hear. However, there comes a point, a threshold, if you will, where all the sound just becomes a bit too jumbled to make the distinction. So this test is going to be measuring that threshold. There will be a short period in between the audio where I will just be taking in your brain's activity to the current sound before transitioning and continuing on. I will be speaking in a normal voice through this entire test. So if you're ready, let's begin. 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 1, 5, 3, 2, 2, 1, 4, 3, 5, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 4, 3, 5, 3, 2, 4, 1, 5, 1, 3, 2, 5, 3, 1, 5, 4, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 3, 5, 5, 2, 1, 4, 4, 1, 4, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 4, 1, 5, 1, 3, 2, 5, 3, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 1, 5, 2, 5, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 4, 4, 1, 2, 2, 5, 2, 2, 4, 1, 5, 1, 3, 2, 5, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 4, 1, 5, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 4, 1, 5, 1, 3, 3, 5, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, 2, 3, 5, 3, 1, Okay, perfect. You did really wonderful. How are you feeling? Pretty good? Are you ready to advance onto the next test? Fantastic. The next test we are going to do is one I mentioned earlier. We call this the beep test. During this test, I will be playing you some background sounds, sort of like how we just did, but instead of listening for me speaking numbers, you're going to be listening for a tiny little beep noise that will sound just like this. And when you hear it, I simply want you to raise your hand and let me know. Alright? Again, you'll be listening for this sound. Do you have any questions? Okay, then let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Alright, there we go. You're doing so wonderful. Now, as I mentioned before, the last thing we are going to do is play something known as binaural beats. As you are aware of, this is the longest portion of your exam today. Both exams, really. We're going to be monitoring your brain activity to this stimuli for about an hour, after which you are free to go home and rest. You will not need to do anything during this test, but simply lie back and listen. You could even take a nap if you find yourself able. Therefore, you really don't need me or anyone to remain in the room with you. In fact, it is better that they don't. I am going to be marking your door with a do not disturb sign because I don't want any distractions or any other stimuli polluting the results that we get. This room is, of course, soundproof, so you should not face any external disturbances during this session whatsoever. But since I will be leaving you once you begin this session and will not be seeing you afterwards, I would like to know if you have any questions or concerns or just anything that you would like to to discuss? Okay, well, I think that you did pretty well with this exam, honestly, just as it was with your eye examination. I really can't find anything that would be kind of a red flag. You got most of the numbers and most of the beeps. However, this examination is a little bit different from your previous one because a lot of these results need to be cross-referenced with your brainwaves during each session and each time you recognized a word or a beep or so on, which I will be doing once I leave here so that I can have all of these results prepared and ready for your primary doctor as soon as possible. Any further questions? No? Okay, just so you know, on your way out of the office, stop by the desk where you filled out all of your paperwork and they will give you a packet. It will have all of our information on it and my information, ways to set up further appointments, perhaps schedule an eye exam for next year in advance. It will also have information about the kind of studies we do here, vision, auditory, sleep studies, all the works really. As I'm sure you know, your doctor's office is actually a branch of our facility, so anything you may have with us or anything affiliated with us is covered by your insurance, as I've mentioned before. And the packet will contain a good bit of other information that I personally thought may interest you. I put it together for you myself, so I do hope that you will take time to glance over that. And there will be a telephone number that will connect you directly to my office should you have any further questions or concerns. Alright, I believe that takes care of that. So, is there anything you would like to know about this test before we begin? What are binaural beats? Alright, well, I am glad that you asked. Binaural beats are a very interesting phenomenon originally discovered in 1839 by physicist Heinrich Wilhelm Dove. He discovered that when signals of two different frequencies are presented separately, one to each ear, your brain detects the phase variation between the frequencies and tries to reconcile the difference. In doing so, as the two frequencies mesh in and out of phase, your brain creates its own third signal, called a binaural beat, which is equal to the difference between those two frequencies. For example, if a frequency of 100 Hz is presented to your left ear and a frequency of 105 Hz is presented to your right ear, your brain hears, so to speak, a third frequency pulsing at 5 Hz, the exact difference between the two frequencies. Research has proven that introducing a binaural beat will cause the brain to begin resonating in tune with that beat. By creating a beat at 10 Hz, the alpha frequency, you can trigger your brain to resonate that same 10 Hz frequency, automatically inducing brain activity in the alpha range. This same technique can be used to quickly and easily guide your mind into any state. When your brain begins to resonate with the binaural beat or follow the beat, this effect is known as frequency following response. The phenomenon was thoroughly researched and tested in 1973 by a biophysicist named Gerald Oster in New York City. His research on binaural beats and the frequency following response was published in Scientific American and paved the way for further development in the area of auditory stimulation to enhance brain functioning. Since that time, binaural beat technology has been endorsed by scores of doctors and scientists around the world. By introducing a precise, harmonically layered blend of frequencies to your brain via our audio technology, you can effortlessly achieve powerful states of focused concentration, deep relaxation, and more, all the while stimulating parts of your brain to work together in synchronization. This makes binaural beats very popular. They can induce a relaxation and are often used as a way to treat and deal with sleep issues or insomnia, which is why this test is so important for you today. They don't cause harm or damage in any way. In fact, they are very pleasant to listen to, and you might just find yourself dozing off, which is perfectly okay. Please feel free to rest. It won't interrupt or distort any of the information we are trying to collect or record, so please lay back. The button on the side of your chair there will cause it to recline, and there's a blanket on that side there. I will be dimming the lights as I leave. It's very important that you remain in a comfortable and relaxed position. Is there anything you need before the test begins? Okay, in that case, I will be booting this up for you. Okay, and when it's over, someone will be in here to let you know. But other than that, the door will remain shut, and please try not to get up and move around. However, if it is unavoidable, simply press